That's why we're here, to give them a choice.
Let's be honest, sometimes I like to kvetch. Kvetching is a Yiddish word for complaining. But other times I got to say I'm thrilled. Like today, something good actually happened. Last night, the Canadian Parliament voted for the third time, third reading it's called, to strike down the censorship powers of the Canadian Human Rights Act. I am thrilled. This is my favorite thing about the government today. And joining me now is the private member, the MP for Northern Alberta, Brian Storseth, who made it happen. Hey, Brian, welcome back to the show. Congratulations, third reading. That's the final lap in the House of Commons, right?
Yes, it is, Ezra. It's a great day for freedom in Canada.
Now, the House of Commons is, it's the Democratic elected House of Parliament. That's where the real toing and froing is. Now, what's the next step? It goes to the Senate, right? Is this thing going to be a slam dunk in the Senate now that the Conservatives dominate that chamber also?
I certainly hope so, Ezra. I've met with some of my Senate colleagues. It sounds like they're going to get on this reasonably quickly, so I'm happy about that. I'm also hoping that some of the provincial governments will take a lead from the federal parliament and start looking at revising some of their own provisions, such as Section 3 in Alberta.
That is a great point. I mean, you're an Albertan, and actually the Premier of Alberta, Alison Redford, on this show, Brian, she promised me she would scrap Section 3, which is the provincial equivalent of what you're scrapping federally. She hasn't kept her promise yet. I hope you press her on that. I got a question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. I'm depressed because I think there is some bad news, and that is no opposition voted for you, or did they? Did a single opposition MP vote with you? Last time Scott Sims, a Liberal from Newfoundland, did. Did he again?
Yes, Scott Sims had the courage of his convictions to break the whip, Ezra.
Oh, thank God for him. He's my favorite Liberal. Who else? Any NDP? Anyone else?
I was disappointed. Elizabeth May had said that she was considering supporting it. But, some of the Liberals I talked to simply felt like this was taking away a little piece of Trudeau's vision of a nanny state for Canada. So they just refused to support my legislation. But we're happy that Freedom's cause was delivered anyways.
So it was just the one opposition MP, Scott Sims, eh?
Yes, just Scott.
You know what? I can't believe it wasn't more. I mean, and especially for MPs. MPs, as you know, Brian, have more freedom of speech than any other Canadian because everything said in Parliament is subject to perfect immunity, absolute privilege, parliamentary privilege it's called. You cannot sue an MP for what he says in Parliament. There's nothing that can stop him from saying things other than the Speaker. And I think it's troubling that those same MPs who enjoy freedom of speech wouldn't share it with mere mortals like the rest of us. Let me ask you in terms of timeline. So much for them. We got a Conservative government that's pushing this through. What do you think the timeline is? Even if some Liberals in the Senate try and slow this down, when do you think this law will be actually scrapped, Brian?
Well, I'm hoping that the Senate will move quickly on it. Obviously, I don't sit in the Senate, so it's going to be up to my Senate sponsor, Senator Finley, to help move this legislation through. I'm hoping that we'll be able to see this in relatively the near future. We have a one-year implementation period in this legislation as well, but in real terms, I think last night was a defining moment. I think that vote last night will send a clear signal to the Canadian Human Rights Commission, and as I said, I'm hoping to the provinces as well so that we can continue to move forward with increasing our freedom of expression in this great country of ours.
Brian Storseth, I thank you, I congratulate you, and I'm pleased that you bring new news, which is you want to export this freedom campaign to the provinces too. Thanks for being on the show. Hey, folks, stick around. There's so much more when we come back from the source. I'm in Calgary. I'm loving it. We'll be right back.